Ready. Wait a minute. Ready. Activate. Wait a minute. Ready. Action. Activate.
Perfect. Oh, hey, what's up? I'm Gazbot. This is Action Activate. And if I'm Gazbot and this is Action Activate, then with me, as always,
it is I. It is the big dog. I am cosmically furious yet again because we are talking about episode 1 of Cosmic Fury. Now, full transparency, we have already watched all of Cosmic Fury, so this is more of a recap review than anything else. But episode 1, I can't remember the name of it, but if you're watching it on Netflix, Lightning Strikes. You started episode 1. Really good episode. Really solid season opener.
Yeah, I agree. I remember especially the opening shot of the huge battle with all the characters and just like the sweeping drone shots and that was like, whoa, I feel like I'm watching a movie.
Yeah, it really kind of set the tone for the season of we're not starting fresh. We're picking up where we left off, and we see everybody in their Dino Fury suits. We see the Morphin Masters fighting. We see Zed. We see all this, and really cool way of using those suits again. We see Zato in his, forget what it's called, but his like in between suits.
Well, they say the Zenith Ranger, but is there a different distinction between the white suit and the tan suit he gets later?
I don't know.
The impression I have is that he is the Zenith Ranger when he is brought back from the dead. And then he has his white Dino Charge suit, and then he switches to Dino Fury, and that's just a palette swap and a power set swap, but he's the Zenith Ranger either way.
Yeah. I had heard behind the scenes they had referred to him as the White Ranger a lot, but then I think Hasbro or somebody else in creative was like, no, we're going to change him to his own proprietary kind of suit and color and stuff because they didn't want another White Ranger
as well.
They didn't want a White Ranger. I don't know.
I've been on record as saying that I prefer the white suit to the tannish beige suit by a huge margin.
That's where we are. But the suits that I did like and appreciate was obviously Billy coming back. That was cool. Yes. And then Mick being the Red Ranger again, I thought was really solid.
And getting to morph. And it was cool because like they definitely telegraphed it where he was there in the middle of the fight doing whatever, research or whatever. And then the Morphin Master was kind of like, and it's like, oh, like we know what's going to happen here.
I also appreciated for people who may come in or who didn't want to rewatch Dino Fury Season 2 that there was that moment where Amelia's like, let me catch up by doing a 10-second clip show in your brain.
But it makes sense because they have the mind meld powers, the Rafconian.
Yeah. There's a good shot that I really think of when I think of this episode, and it's all of the Rangers together and having, a Red Ranger and a Blue Ranger there while, the team's kind of mixed up with colors. In this episode is when...
later on. Oh, because Mick is the Red Ranger at that point.
Correct.
Yeah.
And, Zato gets launched somewhere. Ollie turns evil.
They do a lot. I'll say this. This set everything up great.
Yes.
Like there were things I liked and didn't like about the series overall, but this was like a great opener and it kind of got things moving really fast. And a lot of the spoilers we had heard about all happened in this episode. So it's like, okay, cool. And it was a really good setup.
The more this episode went on, also the more I like Zed back. It seemed like in Dino Fury a bit, it was like, let's bring a Mighty Morphin person back. And this is like, no, this just like kind of feels all right.
And it feels like early Zed before they softened him up with the Rita like marriage stuff and made it more of a joke.
Yeah, I agree. But really solid stuff. I also like
troopers too. What were they called? I keep forgetting.
Sentinels.
It's a pun. What is it?
Sentinels.
I think it is Sentinels. Very good.
Something like that. I'm gonna give myself a Ninja Steel just because I think that's right. What'd you think of the new villains that were in here?
I could take them or leave them. Like the octopus ladies, like they were fine. They didn't bother me, but I wasn't like, wow, they're great. I need a figure. They're gonna live forever. It's like, yeah, they're okay.
I know it was like Bajilia and something else. It was like bajillionaire puns or something.
Oh, is that? I didn't even catch that. It was like they were so rich that was their names.
Yeah, but yeah, they were fine. But yeah, the suits of the Sentinels I really liked, and the only thing I wish they explained in like a one-liner, and spoiler alert, they never do, is why one is red and the others aren't.
Oh, I just assumed that was like an officer.
Yeah, but if you tell me, then it gives it a little more meat, because we did hear them talk. Right. It wasn't like they were full like Quantrons, like
right. You're right. They could have said that, but I did just assume it was like a structure, military structure thing.
Yeah, but great new suits there. Obviously, Zed being back. The new villains weren't bad. They weren't, my favorite. But really, I think it seemed really organic how they mixed different aspects of different teams together, and it didn't feel shoehorned, where, to be honest, in Dino Fury it kind of did at times.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that maybe having Zed be the one in charge made more sense too, because it back to the Zordon era, you did see mingling of the villains sometimes. Like there was this like outer space cadre of all the villains, but Zed was the type of like, well, come work for me, I'm in charge, so like sort of the magnetic personality of his evil having all these others join in makes sense.
Well, also having, kind of like you said, new villains that didn't necessarily have to be put in the spotlight at the detriment of others. Like, I always think of either Turbo or In Space, where it was like, well, now we need to have Astronema at the forefront, even though we have these really big villains in the background that we're not going to see because reasons. Like, the Machine Empire's here, but don't worry about them, and Zed and Reader here, but don't worry about them either. Like, stuff like that.
That makes sense. Yeah. If people keep seeing me look over, I'm watching the video on 1.5 speed to keep track of.
Yeah, if at any point chronologically in the episode I'm forgetting, that's what he's there as the timekeeper of like, oh yeah, let me show you this.
We're way ahead. We just got to the point where Scrozzle shows up, and it's like, I've got the new thing for you to use.
That's another thing where bringing Scrozzle back, I think, made a lot of sense too, because kind of how Zed has been since we've seen him in Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury, very much like, we see it in the first episode where a villain turns Ollie evil, Ollie works for Zed, and then Zed immediately destroys that villain.
Right. That made no sense to me. I will say that. Like I find he's evil, but like it was like killing someone for failure or for challenging your authority or because you're in a bed, but it was like, hey, I'm here, I did the thing you wanted. He's like, great, you're fired. And it's like, well, what? Why was he fired?
I think it was to show like how evil he is.
I get that, but I would have preferred he like stepped on Zed's foot or just something to push him over the edge, because it seemed like no matter how evil you are, if they are correctly doing your bidding, you let him. Okay, well, you did a good job this time,
Yeah. With this episode, obviously I know, but the question I thought when we saw it is, I'm like, okay, I had heard rumors that Ollie was evil. I'm curious how long this will last.
Yeah.
And we'll see as the series progresses how long that lasts. Because last time it was an episode, maybe two, and now we'll see.
It is interesting too that they chose Ollie again, and I wonder if they didn't set it up because they didn't know there was going to be another season. So never mind.
Yeah, I think, to me, I was thinking like, if you were to pick a Ranger to have evil, Ollie obviously has a history there. Now with his relationship with Amelia, it creates tension there.
The shot we were talking about before.
Yeah. This was cool with the Morphin Master staff, and they got to throw it in the little crypt thing. It reminded me a lot of season 3, a lot of Mighty Morphin, not just because it's a continuation, but like, hey, we got to try to get this new thing, and we got to go to the desert to find the powers and the magic person. Right. And this was, we don't find a magic person, but we got to do the magic thing. And then, how do you feel about the Javi arm debacle?
I think they went halfway with it.
Yeah.
I think it was a good idea to show that there's consequences and sacrifice, but the fact that it didn't need to be a gory mess, but it was sort of like cauterized, and like you had said, it was unclear that he even lost his arm. Like, even if they didn't want to show blood, here's what I would have: have him holding it, and as he gets thrown off, do like a slow motion of his arm just like turn into energy, disintegrate, and like rip up his jacket to make it a little bit more clear, because it was like this huge sacrifice that was like, wait, did he what? Oh, he did lose his arm.
Yeah.
He seems rather calm about that. And like it was just, that was a little weird.
Yeah, and even just a throwaway line like, oh, your arm's part of the grid now or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been destroyed.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely setting the tone in a positive way is kind of my takeaway from this episode. Like, there wasn't anything I had major grievances about. The enemy, robots and ships and stuff were fine. They weren't my favorite, but they weren't terrible.
The integration of the Q Ranger footage was fine. They built their own.
Yeah.
And I like that they built the cockpit, and it looks, I mean, I haven't watched Q Ranger in a while, but it looks pretty similar. It very much looks like it fits in. It's not just like a generic thing that would go anywhere. It made it feel like these are new Zords.
I just realized that this may be, and I'd have to look back at Dino Fury, this may be the first time in like years that they haven't had an American-only cockpit. Like, this is similar, if not the same as Q Ranger.
Were they at the very least attempted to emulate what they had going on?
Yes.
I agree. I just don't know how close they came to it, because I know this is an American-built prop because we've seen behind the scenes.
Yeah, but it's not just a stand that somebody is on. Yeah.
Not Go Busters. Beast Morphers didn't just have a stand either. They had cockpits as well.
That's true. I guess Beast Morphers did. Dino Fury may not have. Dino Charge, I know, was like one of your least favorite ever.
Oh yeah, Samurai the same. But it was actually, Samurai might have been the first. It might have been one of those things where it didn't bother me that much with Samurai because it was the first time we had seen it.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh well, it's a martial arts themed thing. Like, but then after that, it's like
we need room to do our symbols and do the thing, and then Dino Charge are like,
it was great, but it was like, okay, it's unique at this point.
Yeah. Also, another thing, since we see them in Zords in this episode, is there's no like Zord mode. There's no proprietary weapon they need to use in there to sell a toy. There's no like
Zords. They're switching arms and legs and just whatever. Yeah.
It felt very kind of like how Billy and Mick were in this episode. They're like, we need to get the job done however we need to get it done. We don't need to sell a toy. We don't need a special armor. We just need to do the thing and take care of business. And that's what they did. And I thought it was really good.
Agreed. And then you have Billy saying at the end, like, this is just the beginning, and like off they go to the race.
I like him being a kind of player coach mentor. We haven't had that in a long time.
Agreed. I always like that. And I like that he never, I thought for sure he was going to end up joining the team, but I kind of like that. He's like, no, I'm Mighty Morphin. And when we're done with this, I got my own stuff going on. I'm just giving you my time and expertise and whatever. And it was cool that like he would still morph into the blue Mighty Morphin and fight alongside him. Yeah.
And they gave him a slightly different morph than the Once and Always special, which was nice.
Yeah, I do wish, I don't know what I want them to do, but something with his morph. I don't know.
Yeah. The thing about that also is this is a sequel to Once and Always. We, in our last video, shared our thoughts about it. We'll continue to share them throughout, but
it's been confirmed by the powers that be that this is a sequel, which makes me like it less instead of more. It makes no sense.
But
here's to the point where I wonder, like, was that always the intention, or are they saying now this is how it is, which still makes it, well, that's how it is. But like, did they make a decision later to say that? Because it seemed really weird.
It seemed after the fact, because you could argue it. The fact that it's a debate is really what it comes down to. But but that's about it. Really, really solid. I don't think we should do a number system. I'm going a thumbs up system. I'm going, 1.5 thumbs. Like, it's really solid.
As first episodes go, one of the best.
One of the better openers we've had. Period. End of sentence.
Yeah, of all time. I mean, like, I don't. We have to go through them, but like, I feel comfortable saying it's like top 10.
Yeah, I would say the same. I would easily put it top 10. Maybe someday we'll rank all the openers. But until then, I have been the Big Dog.
But I've been Gazbot. Gazbot.
To the power. See you guys later.
I was almost going to end recording, but what I'm supposed to do is end credits.
I forgot. Or no, never mind. We don't need to talk about a morpher. I'm getting ahead of myself. See, this is the problem when I watch it and then retroactively review it, is I really just try not to spoil a future episode.
Right, and if it had been like with seasons we watched a while ago, it's not as much of a problem because it's like you're rewatching.
Yeah.
You just watched the whole thing, and having binge watched it, it felt like one big movie.
Yeah, and if there's one thing Action Activate's known for is we're the cutting edge of spoilers. So if you're ever going to get spoiled, it's from these guys.
See you later.